Hello, this is Engine Swap Simulator, and I am Shane Johns. So first, foremost, the target audience for this game typically will be late teens to early 20s, people who have interest in cars. So what problem does Engine Swap Simulator address? Well, most games are either focused solely on racing or customization. They don't incorporate the performance aspects of building cars, and they don't have much detail into what goes into the builds. Or they would be simply focused on the repairs of cars, like Car Mechanic Simulator. So, Engine Swap Simulator is a hands-on car building game where players have their own garage that they start with, just at first a um, handmade garage, and then with their own jack, and then slowly upgrading it along the way. You design, build, and tune your own vehicles. You can take your own vehicles to the track to test them first before you go to the race, and if your cars are not built well enough, then they will either grenade their internal components or cause some problem, and you'll be sent back to the garage to build it again. So you incorporate things like the marketplaces to source your parts. We'll talk about more of that. This is the master game design document, and these are the core pillars of the master game design document. So first and foremost, accuracy and realism. This is a simulator intended to show the details of swapping any engine into any car. So this is a complete would-be guide for swapping engines into cars and all the problems that comes along with it. And then the reward of taking it to a track and it actually working, and then racing those to compete against other players to determine who is the best. So player motivation, first and foremost, creative expression. Just like other games that allow you to customize your vehicles, this game does too, on the outside and the performance parts on the inside. It also promotes some skill development because we go over some of the not typically included parts of building cars, such as tuning or the performance parts, how they fit together, adapter kits, fabrication, stuff like that. There are daily awards. Player progression includes like the garage upgrades, more room for car lifts and such, unlocking new car shells and engines, and a prestige system that levels up as you do. So here are the feature documents. First and foremost, the engine swap system. This is the detailed guide that you would have assistance with from one of the characters that we'll talk about later with in the beginning. The goal of this is lets players feel ownership of their builds um, through their personalized builds. It challenges players to complete complex swaps, so not your typical front-wheel drive engine in a front-wheel drive car. It could be a rear-wheel drive engine in a front-wheel drive car. It also goes into the learning curve of how these performance parts fit to these engines, what you would need to fit to those, how would you tune the ECU, and then of course getting it onto the track. So how this fits into the narrative, you as a DIY car enthusiast, you will be the only person working on your vehicles, so you will have to do everything step by step. You have a mentor who would show you how to do these things, and you have a friend that would source the races for you, but when it comes to the garage, you are on your own. Some of the visuals and sound effects for this is just heavy metal clunking noises or light metal clunking noises, depending on the weight of the object. Potential issues, how do you incorporate realism into this without overwhelming the player? So how many small parts is too much for the player? So part sourcing and economy, let's talk about that feature. There is a real world potential of getting scammed whenever you order parts from either Facebook Marketplace or eBay. So this attempts to emulate that through the Motor Marketplace and GearBay. And you have a potential through either the item pictures or the seller reputation to get a bad part. The goals is to simulate, real-world car modding for this. Encourage player-driven budgeting, so the players will always have a budget. It's best to not go over that budget if you want to compete in the races. It adds a thrill of either your parts working or being sent back to the garage, that uncertainty. How this fits into the narrative, you being a DIY car enthusiast, you do not have the normal performance parts connections that a garage would have. So controls mechanics, most of the controls are just click and type in the amount of money that you want to bid for a certain object and then click bid. Visual sound effects, confetti, and a yay noise from a group of people if you were to win a bid. Potential issues is how many bad parts can you fit on one car. So custom fabrication, not all car parts will have aftermarket support, so you'll need to make your own engine mounts and transmission braces in some of these points. So the summary, how this fits into the narrative, you are the sole designer in your garage, so you will need to fabricate most of these parts yourself. Controls and mechanics, most of it just includes dragging your welder across a predefined line, and whether or not you stay on that line determines whether or not you get a good or bad part. So visuals for this would just be the welder noises, and sound effects would be another metal clunk after you're done. Potential issues is what is the tolerance level for good and bad parts if you deviate from the line. So the content, the narrative summary, you are a DIY car enthusiast in the garage, your backyard. The characters, the mechanic, that's you, Dave, sources races for you, and Mike, your old boss, who grows through tutorials with you. Levels are the shell compatible engine and stock piggyback ECU. That is the first level. It's the most simple one. Second one is a rear-wheel drive conversion car from a front-wheel drive shell and a standalone ECU, so you go through more of the wiring process. And the third would be the most complicated and all-wheel drive conversion car from, say, a rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive car, and it incorporates some of the budget management and introduction to the test track. And that's the game.